Welcome to our February edition of Let's Get Growing. In February, we're going to plant a lot of vegetables. So go to the Texas AgriLife website and download the North Central Texas Vegetable Planting Guide. So after downloading the vegetable planting chart, you'll know to plant all of these vegetables in February. You'll continue to plant your evergreen shrubs, fruit trees, shade trees, and nut trees. Don't forget that fruit and nut trees make great trees for your backyard. On top of giving you shade, they'll also give you fruit. The main problem is, remember to pick the fruit. Plant your early spring blooming annuals such as dianthus, petunias, and alyssum in late February. Continue to do the major pruning of your trees this month, because we want to finish that pruning of our oak trees before February 15th to prevent the possibility of oak wilt infesting them. Remember to paint all cuts on your oak trees. Other trees are okay, but when you make a cut on an oak tree, paint a cut on an oak tree, because they emit chemicals or pheromones that attract insects that will kill them. They don't know the difference between a broken branch or a cut off branch. It's still an injury to them. And you can prune your other shade trees. Remember, dead and diseased wood first, and anything that crosses and rubs, and then clean out the middle of the tree. And if you need to get on a ladder, you need a professional. And when you go to hire a professional arborist, ask if they're a certified arborist. Go to the International Society of Arboriculture website, check their credentials, make sure. And when someone comes to your door and says, I'll prune your trees for a little bit of money, ask them if they'll top your trees, and if they say yes, slam the door in their face. We never top a tree, and that'll tell you they're not a professional. Finish pruning your pecan and nut trees before that bud break in early spring. Prune all your standard roses, not the climbers, but your standard roses by 50% before the middle of February. Now you can prune your nandinas at this time of year, but I'm talking about if they're not full, we're going to take out a third of their canes. So you'll pick the tallest canes and cut them down to about 1 inch or 2 above the ground. And we're going to do a third of them this year, a third of them next year, and the last third the third year, and you'll have a newly invigorated nandina. Trim or mow your grassy ground covers like lyrope and mondo grass, and you're going to raise your mower to its tallest height and mow over that ground cover and remove all the debris, add it to the compost pile. You can also apply horticultural oil this time of year to our fruit and pecan trees, and remember also hit that Eowonimus and our hollies for scale. You can also visit A&M's website and download the homeowner's pamphlet for care and growing of fruit and nut trees. Also, you're going to fertilize your cool season grasses such as rye and fescue with a 15-5-10 fertilizer. That's the 3 numbers on the top of the label, along with a little bit of sulfur. Make sure to read the back of the label and see that it has sulfur in it, because sulfur will change your pH and make the nutrients that are there more readily available. Also this month, you must get your pre-emergent out before mid-March. So get that pre-emergent out to prevent those broadleaf and grassy weeds that will just cause you trouble all season long. Pre-emergent is your first step to a weed-free lawn. Fertilize your pansies and other winter annuals. Continue to protect your tender plants from those hard late freezes. Mow your grassy weeds. And remember, in February, we still need to feed the birds. Now, we've talked about in our shows January and February and many other shows, start your seeds at home. Well, we're going to start some Swiss chard. Swiss chard is a perennial. It'll freeze down to the ground in the winter and pop right back up. And this is called Neon Lights, and it has beautiful colors. I've also used it in containers for winter color. So let's see what these seeds look like. These seeds are a little bit larger than most of your vegetable seeds, so they're going to be easy to handle. Remember that you're going to plant the seeds 2.5 times the diameter of the seed. So as you can see, this is not very wide. So how deep is it going to go? We're going to put it in the middle of the container, and I'm going to put 2 in side by side. And then I'm just going to take them and barely push them into the ground. As you can see, that's about maybe 1/4 inch, and then I'm just going to cover them barely with soil. Now let's do one more to make sure that we're all on the same page. And we'll just go ahead and finish this packet off. A lot of people are now growing their own food, and chard is one of the ones that we've learned to use. It was an old, well-liked vegetable and coming back into play for us. So then you would just take these, now water before you plant, so the soil was wet when I put them in, and now they're covered up, and I'm going to take them back and water them thoroughly. So we've planted the seeds. Remember to make sure that the soil is wet before planting. Make sure your seeds are firm, not padded in very deeply, and then water again. And then we're going to set them in a south window, someplace, maybe the kitchen window, where you can remember to water them whenever they get dry. And as soon as you see them pop out of the ground, you're going to wait for that first set of leaves, and then you can cut back on the water just a little bit. They'll tell you what they need, because when they don't get water, they wilt. So we talked about planting the seeds 2.5 times the diameter of the seeds. So we're going to plant a little lettuce. You can plant lettuce early in the season, and these seeds are very small. So we're just going to take them and sprinkle them over the top and the middle of the container. Now we're going to have tons of lettuce. Then I'm just going to firm them like this, water them thoroughly, and probably even a spray bottle will do at this time. But remember, make the soil even. Make sure that it's damp, water before and water after you plant. That goes for inside or outside. Water before you plant and water after you plant.